Well, welcome back to Be a Refuge. This is our 20th episode.
The season finale of
I
Be a
know,
Refuge.
which is super fun. This is the thing I just want to name is that when you have a dream, this has been on the table for multiple years. We said this at the beginning. And then to see it kind of move forward. And then 20 episodes later, like 20 conversations that we kind of, just did each week or two or three. And here we are. And we are ready for a little break. And today we're going to just kind of look back and consider forward before we go on summer break.
Yeah, it's gone by quickly. I mean, this whole year has gone by quickly, but
It feels weird.
Yeah,
Like
it's hard to believe there's 20 episodes.
I thought the same thing. And I think this will be like somewhere at the very beginning of June. And it's like, gosh, we're almost half the year done. And so strange. Time is strange.
Yeah. But overall it's been awesome just getting to talk to our friends and hear stories. And I mean, you've obviously been here since the beginning and I haven't. I've been here about halfway through. And so just fun to hear about all the stuff that happened before I got here. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that part I love, and that's the piece of all the different guests that we've had on in terms of guests on the podcast, but deep, long friendship and in the trenches together in the refuge community. And I think that the part that I love about Be a Refuge in general is just that it does give a place for people to learn about things that even within the community we don't know. And so although this is the 20th episode, the truth is that there's a lot of things we didn't get to.
Yeah.
That's the wild part. It's not like we made it all the way through all the community life things and all the little textures and partners and different things that are really a big expression of the community, but we did our best to get a good foundation going. And yeah, I love the lineup. I love the conversations and looking back at the last 19 episodes.
So good. So let's just take a look back on these last 20 episodes and just a brief snapshot of what we've walked through. You want to get started on the first one?
Yeah, and I just want to name, this is in the sake of the bigger, wider refuge community, this is a common practice actually that we do because we do a lot of semester things. We kind of consider 3 semesters, fall through the holidays, and then January to the end of May, and then June, July, and August as a summer block. And we try as we wrap things up to look back because we forget. Even us, just we will go, oh, that's right. We learned that. So we'll just kind of go back and forth. And these were the episodes just to kind of put back in front of us. And if you have been listening, think about which ones kind of really struck you. And then if you haven't listened or just are joining kind of towards the end, I go, oh yeah, I got to go back to that and check it out. And so we just started with, what is the refuge again? Which is basically like the question that so many people ask all the time.
Yeah, that was a good one. Then the second episode, we talked about just the history of the refuge. It was called Our Evolving Story. And it really is like the refuge is evolving over time and always changing and growing. And so we talk about how it all started and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, it's fun to look back. And then episode 3 was called The Refuge Cafe. No, it's not a coffee shop. And so we hung out with our friend Marty Dormish, who's founder of the Refuge Cafe, and just talked really about some of the core values there and how it's evolved and coming into its 10th year, the end of this year, and just learning more about this really cornerstone effort at the Refuge.
And then we did an episode, just Kathy and I, called No One Is in Charge. Just about the non-hierarchical structure of the refuge and how we share leadership and the joys and struggles of that.
Yeah, and then no one's in charge and everyone's in charge.
Yeah.
And so episode 5 was our friend Nanette Bizak, and so grateful for her. She's our single moms coordinator and case manager, and just sharing about the single moms community and how it evolved, and started at the very beginning throwing parties at Christmas time, but it really formed into a community about 10 years ago. A little over 10 years ago, and just learning more about this really essential supportive community for single moms and their kids in North Denver.
Yeah, I learned so much in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 6 we called Small is Plenty, and we just talked about this pressure that we have in our culture to have bigger, better, and how there's something beautiful and magical about honoring small, and that there's some good juice that comes in small groups. And so we talked about that, and also the challenges of that as well. Sensing a theme, the joys and challenges of all of these things.
Yes, I love that one though, because it just somehow super core to the refuge culture. And then we had our first friend who's not a regular participant in the refuge community, but a core community partner and kindred and friend. And that was our friend Suzanne Molnar with Beirut and Beyond, which is centered on supporting Palestinian refugees. And her organization is 10 years old and really catalyzed the learning party. We hosted that the first thing at the very beginning of her organization. It really became embedded into their work. And so that was a fun conversation of just the wild ways that we're connected to people who are living out really, really our core values in different ways.
That's good. Episode 8, it was called Empowering with Literacy, and it was about Refuge Reads, which is our literacy program at the Refuge. And we interviewed our dear friends Savannah Smith and Katie Hinshaw and talked about how that all started and what they're doing and what they need volunteers to help. I think that could be for all of them, but if you have a passion for reading and helping kids read, it's an awesome program. And so I just really enjoyed learning about that more, and just that interview and just the dedication of our friends.
Yeah, it's amazing. Loved it. And then episode 9, we hung out with our friend Nikki Kennedy, who is a therapist and advocate and dear friend at the Refuge. And what she really has helped us do is become trauma-informed community. And that was what that episode was centered on, is trauma-informed communities and kind of what that could mean and looks like, and what we're trying to do here in the deepest way, not just here's a few points, but kind of always coming back to it and living that out.
And then episode 10, we talked about art and community is everything. And we shared about our friend Jenny, who passed away last year, and had our friends Amy Jo Nova, who's an artist in our community, and Don Heiken, who's also just a puller together of beautiful things and parties in our community. I think that's a technical term, puller together of.
I love making up words.
Yes. And just shared about Jenny's legacy, and then also just what we want to bring forward into the world, and that doing art in community is everything. I mean, that's the title, but really just there's not a lot of places to do that. And there's something really beautiful that nurtures our souls. So that was a great conversation.
It really was. And I just want to name this, that this, when we're recording this, we just had a really amazing retrospective installation, a mixed media and painting installation, our friends at Pine Street Church. And so a lot of people gathered to see her art. And I will just say this, Jose calls me, we were separate cars, and he said, listen, I always knew she was an amazing artist, but I truly did not know how amazing until tonight. And there was an art lab apron there. And there was also a video that showed a whole thing on art journaling that Tom, her husband, created. And it was just art and community is everything. And go ahead.
No, it's your turn.
So then we just talked. Episode 11 was about Holy Week refuge style, and just kind of walking through sort of that tension that we feel, but just trying to hold it all and be able to celebrate things that are part of the Christian tradition that a lot of us have love and is really soul filling, and a lot of people struggle with, and just kind of that importance of kind of marking these important holidays together as best we can, and sort of holding the tension of it all.
Then in episode 12, we did Refuge Kids, and we interviewed the kids and family pastor at the Refuge, Stacy Schaefer, about how she came to the Refuge and kind of her heart for and vision for kids in our community, and just how kids are a valuable part of who we are.
Yeah, and then episode 13, we hung out with a Refuge administrator who came to the Refuge 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and that systems can adapt to people. And I love this one just because I just want more systems to adapt to people instead of people always having to adapt a system. So that was a really fun conversation, and super grateful for what Sherry does to keep our community going.
In episode 14, we talked about Refuge Rainbow, which is one of the newer additions to the Refuge family. And we interviewed our friend Sasha Davis, who founded and facilitates that group. And it's a queer support and socials for kids and parents of kids who are in the LGBTQI plus community. And yeah, that was a great conversation too. And I remember her, like, I think her husband or partner is like a podcaster, so her background was really cool too. So
it was amazing.
I edit all these things, so there's all these like random little things that like I remember and notice, but it was a really great interview, and I really recommend checking that one out, especially if you have folks that you're supporting and in your world. So
loved it. And then episode 15, we had our friends Teresa Cardoni, who leads the Nature Heals as part of Refuge Community Life. And then our friend John Mikowski from Transforming Creatives, who is a long-term friend of the Refuge for many, many years. When we were in the Grange, we met them for the first time, and is a core collaborator on Forest Church. And so that was a really fun conversation just about how nature heals, and what that looks like in community, and just how we need that grounding.
Yeah, and we read a Mary Oliver poem at the end, which I really like that.
Love that poem.
Episode 16, Kathy and I went solo on this one to talk about how holidays are complicated, and that was released right before Mother's Day, and it's complicated. These holidays hold a lot for many people, and a lot of grief in our community around holidays. And also there's folks who it's like joyful. And so we talked a little bit about that too, of like, how do we hold our friends who are like really want to celebrate these things, and then hold our friends who are in deep grief and pain, and the complication of that, but that it's worth figuring it out to how to hold those together.
Yeah, it is worth figuring out. And then we had such a fun conversation for episode 17 with our friend Mindy Smith, and just what it's like to have kindreds in the wider Denver community, and to have a place and know of a community that can share some of the same things, of realities of shifting faith, and changing seasons of our lives, caring for aging parents, and kindreds. They're so good for my soul. That episode was so good for my soul.
And episode 18 as our anti-racism 12-step group take 2, and this is the first ever podcast that we actually had to re-record because we are learning, and went into it with kind of just not aware of certain things and not being particularly thoughtful of certain things. But the cool part is being able to like pause, reflect, grieve together, reassess, and try again. And that is the work. And so I'm excited about this episode, even though it was challenging.
Yeah, it had a lot of things to it. And to me, it's just like really, truly embodied even what this podcast is called and the Refuge is about. But that as we learn, dream, and practice together. And that was practicing some really hard things, and we did. We did. And being a healing community that can keep healing these things inside of us in the community. So yeah, glad we did it again.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one is episode 19, and that's the Sunday thing, which is kind of what we sometimes call it. So, but just about spiritual formation Sunday and just wrestling with what that looks like, and joy and peace and practice and all the ways that that's evolved. And so the Sunday thing is a conversation that lots of people are having, and we for sure had it at the refuge for really since the beginning.
Yeah.
Woo!
And 20, this one.
Yes. Wow. So what does it feel like to look back? I mean, that was a lot to kind of, I mean, I glanced at it, but to really like think about what we've done. What does it feel like for you? I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm just grateful. I mean, there's just a lot of cool things happening in our community. And every episode we say, I'm leaving with a little bit more or less. And I think a lot of them, gratitude was a big one for both of us, of just like for what our friends are contributing in the world, and wrestling with, and tough conversations, but just trying to make a different thing, and failing sometimes and trying again. So yeah, I think just looking back on the big picture of it, I'm feeling grateful for for my friends, and that I get to be part of a community that's trying weird stuff.
Yes, we are.
How about for you?
Yeah, I mean, some of the same feelings for sure really resonate. It's just I love the refuge. So I love the refuge community. And I was talking to somebody yesterday at the Refuge Cafe, a few members of our team, and just saying that, for me, I like participating in everything. It's not a job. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes there's things that have to get done, and there is some things that really suck, honestly. But on the whole, most everything here is just really beautiful to me. And it does really feel holy and hard. But that's what, like, in the trenches community and social action movements and collaborating on things looks like, kind of these things that we're about. And so I think for me, it makes me grateful, just like you said, that word, it's just gratitude for it. And then I think really awe, in a way, that we're still here, and that so many people are contributing their gifts. And that part is just, that makes me weepy, because this list is not the full list, and we couldn't get to everybody in the time that we needed. And so, that's my hope, is that we'll get to hear from all the people that still are part of community life, nurturing things, and then other aspects of our life together. So even though it's like 19 episodes, like, it really in some ways just scratched the surface on some of the things. And so just really grateful.
Yeah. I was just thinking how, if I wasn't someone outside just listening, like, this would seem huge. And I'm glad we did that small is plenty episode early on, because there's so many things going on and we haven't even talked about all of them. And so I think, like, just the way our brains work, I would be like coming in and being like expecting it to just be ginormous. And it's just, it's there's a lot of people involved in things, but it's also just like a lot of good work in little pockets. And I love that. But it also is just funny, and we talked about that in several episodes, of just people's expectations who are not part of the refuge, who come and met with like the reality of this funky little community. And like, just on Sunday, it was our last spiritual formation Sunday for the semester, and we did a recap of, similar to what we're doing today, of just what we'd done with our everyday peacemaking theme all year. And there were about 5 people there who were regulars, and kids and stuff in the back too. And then someone came with 3 of her family members because they're thinking about volunteering at the cafe. And so it was like 5 regulars and then 4 new people. And then it was like a recap talking about what did we talk about all year. So it was but it was great. Like it was a really lovely time, and we like brainstormed and thought about ways that we could practically this summer like still connect, and like how do we want to bring everyday peacemaking in practical ways into our community and not just talk about it, and like came up with some really interesting ideas of like friendship potlucks with our friends from Mosaic and different things, and our new friends, whether they come back or not or just there for that one time, contributed a lot of wisdom as well in the conversation. And so that's the thing, is it's just it's weird, and but it's usually always beautiful and life-giving in some way, no matter what the gathering is and no matter how many people are there.
I love hearing that. And I love that is like so deeply embedded in your core values. And it makes me think that this is from so long ago, but I remember we did this little thing. And this is like, we were at maybe the wedding event center. This is in the first couple of years. And we had like little kid glasses and we put them on. And there was this way of seeing things through the lens of Jesus. And whether you believe in Jesus or not, most of us can kind of connect to the ways of Jesus, that somehow saw what was contrary to the ways of the world. And so the ways of the world is that is too weird and something's wrong. And with Jesus glasses on, you see the beauty of humanity. You see dear people who show up on a Sunday night and walk in and want to serve the community and become peacemakers in a new way. Like, it does give me chills. It makes me so happy. But you have to kind of see, you have to be able to wear those glasses and see it. Because if you don't have them on, it just doesn't sometimes work. There are certain things that don't work. And I love the weird, awkward, sweet, tender, holy part of just eclectic spiritual community. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
It makes me think too, the other part I just want to say really quick, because as you were talking, I was thinking about, there's 3 groups that are really like core groups that we didn't get to. And it was our 12-step recovery group, the Advocates Learning Lab, which is skill support and sustainability for people who journey with people in hard places, and the House of Refuge, that meets at our house, and has since the beginning. But I was thinking about the 2 groups on Zoom that are now on Zoom, and how that has really expanded our community in this interesting, wild way, because people can come. And so they can actually come to the meetings. And so we probably have on both of those now at least 4 states, including Canada, who are like people who drop in from other states or Canada to be part and feel part of the community. And so that is a little piece of the weird, the small is plenty thing, where they're small pockets, but they're pockets of people really committed to each other. And like all of these pockets we talked about kind of are like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing we experimented with this semester with Spiritual Formation Sunday too, is doing a hybrid meeting, but just for one of our friends who moved to Pueblo. And so, I text her before like every Sunday morning, and I'm just like, hey, come in this week. And then I bring the setup to do hybrid. And then her face is like on the big screen. And then we're all like interacting together. But it's like extra work, but it's so worth it, because that's someone who's been part of the refuge since the beginning, I think, and can still connect in some way. And so I just think like, looking back to like all the different creative ways that communities can connect if we think outside the box. And, like a lot of people have all that technology from COVID, and some people are still using it for production, but it's like, what if we use this technology to just help people connect who feel lonely, and make it interactive? Because like our friend can talk back and participate in the meeting as well. And so having Zoom meetings, even though I know a lot of people are tired of Zoom, there are so many good uses of that technology. And So yeah, communities finding creative ways to be yourself in the world and bring goodness in the world. And that's kind of my hope for this podcast, is that other communities, that our community could listen, learn about each other more, learn about all the things that we're doing that maybe even we don't know about. And then also that other communities could be inspired to think, what if we started a 12-step group for anti-racism? Like, here, what would that look like? Or, what if we could adapt our people, adapt our systems to people more, and all those different things that we're experimenting with and not always succeeding, but trying. So
Yeah, I love that. And that's the dreamer. Like, that's exactly the dream that I have. Like, people just get what they need, but that we are not alone in living out this dream. And that's what even these episodes with our friends from community life, like, and partners and friends, like, it just helps so much just to have the conversation, because it really does inspire us to keep going and to kind of keep living this out. And so we love kindreds near and far. And so anyway, we always just say, adapt to whatever you need to your context. I mean, I've sent our Blue Christmas things to so many people. Like, here's the folder, just take what you need that will help you create that space there. Just, give credit to where it was from, but there's like an open sourcing and sharing that happens. And that's really what our hope was for Be a Refuge. And so I think you got to start somewhere, and you got to put it out there, and you got to practice. But I do just want to say to people listening, like, you really could help us in a couple ways. And I do just want to say, because this is a piece of nurturing something, is that it does help if people share with others, hey, I'm listening to this, or, check this out, or just little things that help people know about it. And that's an ongoing problem at the refuge in general. Like, people have technology, don't have technology, or on social media, aren't on social media, check email, don't check email. Like, it's so hard to figure out how to communicate things here. And so that's sometimes just that shared passing on. And it was really fun. I mean, I told Joe this, but it was really fun when my son, who grew up in the refuge and is now like graduated from college and working at a job. And so I call him and check in, and I was like, hey, so what are you doing? He goes, oh, just walking home from work and listening to Be a Refuge. And I was like, oh, it makes me so happy. And he's in Washington, D.C. And he's like, Mom, this is so good. I love it, because I love learning and hearing about the community and learning things that I didn't know. And because even though he's been gone now for a chunk of years, because he went to college in another state, and he comes back and drops in, but he's like, I've been learning so much. And so it makes me really happy.
Yeah, so if you can share, and then if there's any feedback, if you've listened to these episodes or anything that you want to hear, please let us know. I think we're hoping to do a season 2, but we're assessing that this summer, and that's like one of our practices at the refuge. And Kathy and I, in our like working relationship too, is like, just practice and like, let's try something, and if it works well, let's do it and keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. And so we'll see how it goes. But if there's feedback that you have for us, we'd love to hear it. Positive or constructive criticism or rebukes, chastisements, whatever. I
would say, just try it first before you rebuke us too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. But yeah, feedback would be wonderful. And then if you can share, and especially if there's like a special episode that was like, wow, that was really interesting, and like to be able to share it with people that you care about, and maybe have a conversation with someone about it. And then if you're listening from someone who's outside the refuge community, and there's something that you heard this season that you want to try, like whether it's, like Kathy mentioned, the Blue Christmas materials or 12-step groups, or anything in your community, like, just reach out, and we would love to like talk to you about what that could look like in your unique setting. And don't try to be us, just be you. But yeah, we can help like with resources. So
absolutely, send us an email. We would love to hear. And you can always, you don't have our personal emails, you can just always send something to the refuge, and Sherry will get it to us.
Yeah. All right, anything else? Final thoughts or feels?
No, I think that was good. Thanks for listening. Thanks for like hanging out with us. And we do try and kind of picture that, it's been a joy to log on to Zoom together and do this with each other and with other people. And thanks for being part. And we're grateful. We do really need each other, and we need more stories, and we need more dreaming, and we need more practice. And we are really better together. And so, thanks for being part in whatever way you want.
All right, my friends. So our close that we've done all season was leaving today with a little bit less or more. So I'll say we're leaving this season with a little bit less or more blank.
Oh, so I'm leaving this season. One is I want to say this. I love the break that we always do at the refuge for the summer. It's like a super significant thing. It's not like a break of everything, but it's just like some things just take a little rest. And so I'm feeling that, and that it feels right. But I am leaving with a little more, I think the word is just juice or energy that goes, I guess I'm not doing this very good, but a little more juice or energy like this, it's there. And then also the embodied practice for me is like a hand out and then rooted into the ground. Like that's what I'm feeling, like this forward motion, but then like really anchored in believing in what we do, but that we're always evolving. The motion is kind of like we're also always evolving. So we're rooted, but we're moving. So I'm kind of leaving with that image, actually, from looking back and considering forward.
I love that. I am leaving with I'm living with gratitude that I have a little break from editing. I don't mind editing, but because I record them and then I re-listen to all of them to edit the transcripts and to edit the episodes and stuff. So I've listened to all of them at least 2 or 3 times. So actually I want to break, and then I'm looking forward to like listening to them again in a couple months and like having like a fresh take on that. But yeah, just leaving with gratitude for a community that is brave and tries stuff, and is willing to experiment with different things. And it's scrappy. We're scrappy.
I love that. That's a good adjective.
Just thinking about the things that we do with a little bit, and like that image of like the mustard seed, like, or the yeast. It's like just a little bit of yeast goes through the whole dough and changes everything. And so like just seeing that in action in my friends and in my community is really, really beautiful. So I'm really grateful that I got to hear so many stories and hang out with my friend Kathy.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun. And I just want to say this, like, check out the best place to find out what's going on is on our website. It has the calendar. There'll be a big June, July, and August for the summer of all the things that are going on in the summer. But also just go to our social media pages, because there's really a lot of things, and there's things that sneak in that aren't on the calendar that you might want to know about. And so just a reminder that following there, even if you're not a social media person, at least you can go in there if you need it.
Yeah. All right. Happy summer, I guess.
Yes, rest, renew. So are we, and we will communicate what's next. We're just really grateful.
Yeah. All right. Be a refuge, friends.